All right, welcome back to the Built to Grow podcast. I'm your host, Tim Lyons, in the studio, joined by Randy Angston. What's up, buddy?
Hello, good sir.
Hello.
Oh, top of the morning to you.
Top of the morning. Real quick, guys, if you have not joined our Facebook group, Business Talk with Fitness Professionals, go ahead and do that now. It's Facebook, Business Talk with Fitness Professionals. That's a group of gym owners. You must be a gym owner to join that group. Very highly vetted.
You must answer the questions when you're asked the questions to get in.
You know, what's funny is like I could see the approvals and the non-approved. Like we have as many non-approvals as we do approvals.
Absolutely.
But if you're a gym owner, you're going to get in, right? If you're not just trying to be a fly on the wall and you want to join this group and share ideas and stuff. But really, that's where this episode's coming from, because I threw a post out yesterday and it stirred the pot. A lot of people got upset about it, but you know that was my point. If you notice when I do these posts, I drop it and then I disappear and I let this thing take a life of its own. I don't jump in at all until later. The post was large group training, class-based, boot camp, HIIT, Orange Theory, Burn, boot camp, or CrossFit is a red ocean. And the only way to compete in a red ocean is on price.
Yep.
And people went crazy in that group, which is good. That's what I wanted. I wanted to stir the pot. I wanted people to understand, well, first off, what a red ocean is. I think that was part of the problem. I think people thought when I said that it was like large group training is dead, but it didn't mean large group training is dead. What I meant by red ocean was it's a lot of competition in that space.
Absolutely.
In fact, there's a lot of reasons why there's a lot of competition in that space. And I'll go ahead and start right now. Number one, it is really easy to enter that space. There's really limited equipment, if any. It's, everybody's doing the same programming. There's not a whole bunch of brain power put into the programming. It's just high energy, move your feet and, burn calories.
Yeah. Barrier for entry is real low.
Yeah. Barrier for entry is very low. And therefore, somebody can go get a space, throw their logo on the wall and on the sign and boom,
You don't even need that. Let's be honest. You don't need that. How many people start in a park?
Right.
You got a Facebook post in a park and then people show up and you charge them $15.
That's red ocean.
That is a service of large group that exists right now.
Yep. And a lot of people got upset because, hey, I make a really good living doing this for 10 years. And I'm like, cool. It's still a red ocean. The point is it's a red ocean. And when you are in a red ocean, meaning there's a ton of people doing the same thing you're doing, or at least providing the same solution, even though you may feel yours is better, the consumer looks at that and says, well, these two things are the same. There's a large group of people working out, moving, and getting sweaty and hot. And to me, that's the same thing. Which one's cheaper? I'm going to do that one.
And that's the difference is I think that some of the, I don't want to, this isn't a jab or anything like that, but I think this is one of those things where if we remove the ego and we looked at what you were saying,
sure,
not our personal experience with how well our business is, operated or what we bring to the table and our clients' results, take all that stuff off the table, because the delivery and what you provide on paper to the consumer is nearly identical. That's the difference. It's not your personal beliefs and why your clients get results, because if you're not bringing that to the marketplace, they don't know. And this is where Tim was getting at, is the red oceanness. The only way to survive there is to bring something unique to the marketplace. And when you're talking fitness, nutrition, and accountability, hot, sweaty movement in a room, that's all you offer. It doesn't, the behind the scenes, the stuff that you think and you believe and why you do it the way you do, if you don't translate that to the consumer, that doesn't matter.
That's the caveat.
That's the difference, is if you can't speak, I use the term, and I don't mean it disrespectfully, but your audience is ignorant. Your marketplace is ignorant. And I mean that to the point of, if you're not telling them who and what you provide and who you are and how you do it different and why you do it, don't expect them to know. You're right. And you could offer a boot camp and you could charge $1,000 a session, and you could offer a boot camp, your competitor could be doing it for $100 a month. But if you can't articulate why that $1,000 is your price tag, they're not going to buy from you, because it's the same thing. And that's the biggest issue that we have with it, or had with it.
It's a big issue. And, and listen, you could be in a market where there is no other gyms and nobody's doing that. And therefore by default, you're not necessarily in a red ocean. But the point is is sooner or later somebody's going to open up that door, and the first thing they're going to do is it's not going to be a semi-private training facility or a one-on-one studio that's going to compete with you. It's going to be either a franchise-based, class-based, Orange Theory, Barry's Boot Camp, Burn Boot Camp, Fit Body Boot Camp XYZ. They're all going to open up eventually, and now it's you against this thing that you believe is yours is better. Because it is, but the consumer doesn't see that. And really that's the point, is the consumer needs to understand. That was the caveat. What you were saying is like, you have to be able to articulate that to the end consumer. And you can do that. There's a guy, we're friends with, Stu Brower, right? He had this place called Urban Movement, and he was doing large group class based stuff. But his unique, I guess what he calls unique belief in fitness was tempo training. And so that was the unique differentiator. Wasn't price. It wasn't the fact that there was a lot of people doing the workout at the same time. It was the fact that his belief, his methodology was in tempo, and you're going to get better results with doing it this way because of XYZ. And that was his flag in the ground. And I get behind that, right? Yeah. And there's definitely room for people to put their flag in the ground with a unique mechanism, a unique, reason why people get results with you and not the guy down the street is, for example, his was tempo training. It could be the Orange Theories was, I was just the orange zone, the orange zone, right? And so you can deliver a great product and do very well in business in a large group format, but it can't be just a bunch of people moving around in a room. And in there's probably some level of adaptation that has to happen, because I'm glad you brought up Orange Theory, because if we look at this, and a lot of the reason that we have this belief is the industry wide. It's not just this city. It's not just, it's, the nation. It's fitness in general. We're seeing the data tell us that, right? We've never seen the explosion of these types of gyms like we have over the last few years. That's what's caused this red ocean. And it's just factual, guys. It's not an opinion. It just is. Look at the numbers. Now, when you have an Orange Theory that could compete and did well, it was because they had that flag in the ground. When everybody else was just trying to compete, being a hot, sweaty room for people to move around, they didn't. They put their flag in the ground. They said, we have our orange zone. This gets clients results because what you've been doing, you haven't had the orange zone. So come experience us. It's unique. It's different. And that's why they won. We've been saying this for years. Yeah. We've been talking about this. I remember when Rick was on the episode, we've talked about Orange Theory and the unique mechanism and used them as an example. This is them competing in that arena and doing it ahead of of their competition in the same service deliverable. Yep. Large group. And that's why they won. Right. But it only validates the fact that you can win with something like that in a competitive red ocean, but the chances, you're still competing in a red ocean. It's still a fact of what it is. Yep. The competition's everywhere. And if you don't have something like a unique mechanism, you're lost. You're just another option. Correct. And then the option, the differentiator becomes price. And that was the other side of that post, was when you don't have a unique mechanism, when you don't have orange zone, muscle confusion, tempo training, whatever it is. Insert burn inferno. Yeah. If you don't have that mechanism, then it's basically equal apples to apples now. And the consumer's looking at the best value, which for them could be price, it could be location, but it probably ends up being price. And that's why you saw this when CrossFit was on the boom and everybody was on like opposite corners. And it was case in point, same versus same. What was the differentiator? It was a price. It was a drop to the bottom. And everybody was like, well, they're 120. I'm going to go 119. These guys went 99. Oh, why is that guy going 99? And that was the only thing that they could talk about. I was like, well, because you're all doing the same thing. It's 99. They're going to go to the 99 guy, which I don't want to be that guy either. I don't want to be the 99 guy. Hell no. And so the point of this is listen, you can do well in a large group atmosphere, but the caveat, the kicker here is you have to have that unique reason why people get results with you and not the guy down the street. And if you don't have that, you're just playing in the same sandbox as everybody else, and it's going to end up cannibalizing yourself. I think that as we're talking through this, there's another big takeaway, and it's being really clear on who you are and what you bring to the marketplace. Mm-hmm. Because if you can't market it, if you can't sell it, you can't, providing the service is
that's the expectation of a business. But getting customers through the door, if you want to talk competition, it doesn't matter what the hell you do in the four walls if you can't talk about it, if you can't figure it out and know how to articulate it to the people outside of those four walls. Figure that out, because right now, every argument that happened in Facebook was interior facing. Mm-hmm. Everybody that had an issue about it was, yeah, but I do this, and that's why I've been. But nobody in your marketplace knows that. Your ads don't talk about that. Your website says that you do fitness, nutrition, and accountability. That's you're not doing yourself a service by combating all of the data and the evidence. Just go, you guys, it's a lifeline. Go do that and go do it better. But there's no benefit from just creating the friction, right? Look outside, see what the value is, the takeaway here. Get clear on your business. Know what you bring to the marketplace that makes you different than the gym down the street. And if you don't, figure it out, because that's going to be the differentiator. Marketing and sales, I hate that we always go back to there, but like that is crucial for the business aspect. It's not just the service and delivery.
Yeah. And we knew this years ago when we looked at the data of retention and client lifetime value of our service levels. It was so clear that it was like, how quick can we pull the plug on large group and just go all in on semi-private, which we are. And our friends like Rick Mayo doing the alloy play, like he knows.
He told us it's $160,000 gathering data or something like that just before making a decision on what type of service he wanted to take that business.
We had Rick on this show and we compared our retention and our revenue numbers based on service offerings, and they were identical within a month.
Within 1 month, I remember. Yep.
It was like 1.2 months apart. And it was like, his retention was like 38 months. Mine was like 36.8 months. And it was like, well, what are we doing with this large group? Because at the time, it made a lot of sense to have levels and tiers and like, hey, we're going to have our $150 level and you're going to get that for this, because we were very focused on what can the consumer afford versus what do we want to offer and provide the best value. And let me tell you something, guys, you can have $1 million gym with just 200 members. $1 million gym, we're doing it. And I'm going to explain that on another show, and that'll be the math behind that. But you don't need 500 members.
No, I just had this conversation.
You could have a reoccurring revenue of 83.3. In fact, just looking at the weeks of the year next year, we're going to have 5 months at 99 and several at 83. It's just like this perfect storm of weekly payments on Sundays. I'm going to get into that in another show. But yeah, 200 members. And in fact, we put a hard cap on this business because we want to only have 200 members and we want to serve those to the highest ability. We want that loyalty. If they leave, they may not have a spot coming back. And they want to be here, and that's the goal, right? And so, listen, guys, there's a lot of ways to skin this cat. You can win with large group training, but the takeaway is you have to have something different than the guy down the street. You can't just be cheaper. In fact, you don't want to be cheaper. You want to be the most expensive in the market. There's just no advantage of being somewhere in the middle. That's no man's land. So hopefully this helps. If you haven't joined that group, go join it. We have a lot of fun conversations in there. I'd like to stir the pot, but it's great to get different opinions.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's challenging thought. We're figuring out problems together. I mean, if nobody wants to sit in a room of just nodding heads,
echo chamber.
Exactly. Like this is a place where you don't have to like the information you served up, but you get to learn from it and you get to weigh in on it.
And guys, don't get upset. Like this one took me back. Somebody said I insulted them by making that post, and it's like, well, you decided to be insulted. There's nothing insulting in this. This was factual,
evidence-based.
State of the union. It's a red ocean, and people got so upset. It was actually humorous.
The data, and before we go to leave some evidence on that, we've talked about in those past shows about the service and or the length of membership for those services, the retentions. Mm-hmm. Guys, when we saw this last large month was under 3 months.
Orange Theory's retention
rate was under 3 months. So if we're sitting here talking about 16.8 and 18 months, 36 and 38 months versus 3 months because of the options available at that level of service. We're not having the same. This isn't for debate. That is what Tim was saying. Is it's evidence that it's a red ocean. how you compete in there, that's a whole different conversation. But don't take offense to the fact that you're competing in an ultra competitive environment.
Or do what we did and switch to semi-private training. There's a whole nother land of fruitfulness on the other side of that switch. This is something we do very well in far as helping gyms switch and make that transition. We have a software now that's built on the back end of our programming that you can leverage. We have a book coming out that Zach was just sharing with us. And I was like, man, this guy here, this is a reason why you hire people smarter than you, because this is the guy that's doing it. And he's leading the charge. I mean, I think the big takeaway in that book was like, why is this so hard for people? Because he was so close to this problem. He wasn't close. It wasn't a problem. It was just so close to the thing. This is just what we did here. And he's like, why we have this figured out? Why are people struggling? And so once he realized and he stepped back and he's like, wow, this is kind of a bigger problem for people. We created a giant solution for everybody. And so that's coming out soon, a software. It is unbelievable what he's put together. And I'm excited to be a part of that ride and coming soon. I mean, we're definitely launching at Growth Summit. That's for sure. Be sure to be at that. But anywho, that's it for this episode. Hopefully you join the group. Facebook is Business Talk with Fitness Professionals on Facebook. We'd love to chat with you there and take the conversation further. Till next episode, guys, keep changing lives. See you on the next show. Bye.
All right. And thank you for listening to that episode of the Built to Grow podcast, where we help gym owners win. Now, do you want to connect with me and other gym owners online? All you need to do is join our private Facebook group, Business Talk with Fitness Professionals. Just head on over to Facebook and type in Business Talk with Fitness Professionals. And when you do, we're going to give you our 10 marketing strategies 7-figure gym owners use to win. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Until then, keep building something great.